Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's time for another weekly reading vlog. This week, I'm going to be reading exclusively Kindle Unlimited books. I have 4 picked out. One was off of my TBR, and then the other 3 I just chose to read this week because they've been sitting in my Kindle Unlimited library for a little bit of time. So, the first book I'm going to read, the one off my TBR, is the Zodiac Academy, The Awakening. So it is the first book from the Zodiac Academy. And that series was co-written by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. Then I'm going to read Indigo Ridge by Daphne Perry. That is a small town romance with, I believe, a little bit of a crime subplot going on in the background, and it is the first book in the Eden series. And then I will be reading Jade City by Fonda Lee, which is the first book in a fantasy series. I'm not really sure what it's about, but I've heard good things. I'm gonna kind of probably go into that one blind. And then I will be finishing out the vlog with Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is the first book in the Addicted series. Am I starting 4 new series in this vlog? Yes, I am. Yeah, may not be my most intelligent decision, but I'm gonna do it because I want to be in the middle of 50 series apparently. But anyway, the first book is the Zodiac Academy, The Awakening, and this book follows 2 twin sisters that are considered Gemini. They grew up in the human world. Darcy and Tori, I believe their names are. Yes, Tori and Darcy Vega are 2 Fae girls that grew up in the human world because they were, I forget what they call it, foundlings, I want to say it is, where like fairy people switch babies with humans. This is like from folklore and stuff too. They switch them and they were probably sent to the human world because their parents are very well-known, very influential people in the Fae world, and they're probably in danger. I haven't got to that point yet, obviously, but they are found after their 18th birthday by this professor at the academy, and he brings them back, and there's like 4 different powers you can have: air, earth, water, fire. Kind of like that other book I read, The Princess of Air. It's like the 4 elements. These girls are probably going to be super powerful. They go back to this academy, and they have to fight for their place as the heirs to the throne of the Fae kingdom, the Fae world, against these 4 other boys whose parents kind of took over in their absence because their parents are no longer living. And they've been sharing the throne essentially between 4 different families, and they come back and these boys are like, you're not going to take this from us. We can be the heirs. You don't have to be. So that's kind of the beginning of the book. I have read about 100 pages, I think. I read a little bit earlier at work today before I got the chance to do this intro, and that's kind of where I am. That is pretty much the synopsis of the book that you're going to get from reading anything online or what the inside of the flap would be, I would assume. But so far it's interesting. It's reading quick. It's a little over-sexualized, I think. I've heard that about this book, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about that. I just feel like things that don't need to be are being sexualized, if that makes sense. So not a huge fan of that so far, but we'll see. It's probably gonna get worse. Who am I kidding? But I'll see if it bothers me. I'm gonna continue reading, and once I make it further, I will update again. So quick update. I'm a little bit under halfway through the Zodiac Academy, The Awakening, and the girls at this point are trying to figure out like what type of Fae they are, because there's different, I forget what they call them, but there's different categories of Fae. There's the shifters, there's the vampires, and then there's like the people that are like harpies, selkies, stuff like that. So they don't know what they are because they grew up in the mortal world, so it never manifested for them. So they're trying to figure that out while still dealing with the 4 male heirs that they're trying to fend off because they think they're after their throne. And it's still a little bit overly sexualized. The teachers at this school are absolutely crazy, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it. That's where I am. I'm not sure I'm gonna have strong feelings about this book one way or the other. I think it's just gonna be a book. I'll probably continue the series unless this really goes off the rails towards the end, just to see what happens. I don't know that I'll finish it. I'll continue it, I guess I should say. So that's where I am now. I will update when I get home later. So final update before I finish the Zodiac Academy, The Awakening. I have about 120 pages left, and I figured out how I feel, and I'm a bit ashamed because I don't feel like I should be liking this book, but I'm liking this book. It's like if reality TV was a book. It's a train wreck. It is overly sexualized, and not in the way you're thinking. Like, people aren't just like doing it, but like everything is sexualized, and I can't stop it. I think about it when I put the book down. I don't know what that says about me, but now all I want to do is read the next 11 books. So that's not good. And I'm not gonna do that, but that's all I wanna do. I will read the books, just not right now. So that's how I feel. I'm a little ashamed, but it's fine. I'm gonna go finish this book up and then move on to the next. So I just finished Zodiac Academy, and it was a lot better than I mean, I don't wanna say it was good, because I don't feel like it was good. Like it wasn't, I don't wanna say that, it was definitely not like the most well-written book I've ever read, but I didn't wanna put it down. Like I said before, it was like reality TV. I just wanted to keep reading and I wanted to know what happened. But at the same time, I knew I shouldn't, I don't know. It got a little more spicy towards the end. Not terribly, but still spicier than the rest of the book had been. But it ended on a cliffhanger, obviously, and there's 11 more books to read. I'm not going to be reading them right now, but I'm definitely going to be continuing on as long as the rest of the series holds my attention like this book did. So that's the first book done for this vlog. So the next one I'm going to read is Indigo Ridge, and basically this is about Winslow is Quincy, Montana's new chief of police, and her grandfather's the mayor, so she's trying to prove that she didn't just get the job because of her grandfather, and she has a one-night stand with the oldest son of the founding family of the town, and he's like a jerk. So she tries to avoid him, but then there's this like murder that she has to help solve. And through all of that, I think he learns that like Ethan is an outsider, like she's more than he gave her credit for. I don't know if like this is going to be a storyline that continues throughout all of the books or if there's going to be a different like mystery in each one of them, but I know that this Eden series has that in it. So we'll see how that goes after this one, but I've heard the first one's not great, so I don't know how much I'm going to like this one, but I know that some of the other ones people have talked about liking, but gotta start somewhere. So Indigo Ridge by Devney Perry is the next book that I'm going to start now. Hey everyone, it's the next day. I'm about 62 pages in, which is, according to the Kindle, 20% of the way through the book. And right now we've just had the like one night stand that the synopsis says is going to happen. And for the book starting off like hot and heavy, because you know it's going to when a character has a one night stand, it was very cleanly done. Like I thought we were going to start off with like a big old spice scene, but I kind of like the way that Devney Perry did that. I don't know how spicy this book is going to be. I've never read one of her books before, but I'm pretty sure she's known for spicy books. So I was really shocked at how she did that first encounter with them, but I liked that too because it still builds up the tension for the reader. We've had the murder. We know who our murder victim is. That's where I am right now. And our characters are obviously like super attracted to each other, but don't want to be because of when they found out who each other was. They realized the big mistake they made because they both assumed that the other was not from town, and alas, they actually have to work together. Their parents know each other. His dad was actually part of bringing her to town. He was one of the people that selected her to be the new sheriff, so it was just a really awkward situation, but hilarious at the same time. So that's where we are. She's now investigating the death. And that's pretty much where I ended off. The Eden family own a farm, and that's where Griffin's in Eden. So he's the one that runs the farm. So technically, and like Jupiter Hill is on the farm. It is like a part of their land. And that's where the dead body was found. So they're clearly going to be working together on this because it was found, the body was found on his land. So that's how that ties in. And so far it's good. It's not, I don't think I'm going to love it, but it's interesting enough and it's written well enough that I am going to, I think, like it. But we'll see. I will read more and I will update you all once I have. So I've got about 30% of the book left, and we've got to the point where like the crime is starting to take a bigger part of it. Like Wynn is trying to figure out who could possibly have murdered this girl that they found. The crime's just taking a more center role. Like they've kind of admitted to each other that they have feelings for each other. And now we're hitting the point of the book where there's going to be conflict, and she's looking into this like possible murder and who could be involved. And because he's like, you know, founding family son, he knows everybody in town and is afraid that it is somebody in town if it's not, and like if it was actually a murder. I think that's what our conflict may be about, but we'll see. But we are at the point where it's probably they're going to have their conflict before it gets resolved for the end. The crime aspect of the book is taking center stage, which is the part I was waiting for. So the romance has been okay. Not my favorite, but it's been entertaining enough. But I've really been waiting for this part so I can find out what actually happened. So when I'm done, I will update and we'll move on to the third book. So I just finished Indigo Ridge and I enjoyed it. It was, you know, a typical romance novel. I'm sitting probably somewhere around a 3.5-ish for it. I enjoyed the crime mystery aspect of it. The romance was cute, the romance was predictable, and there was really no point in the book. I don't know, the romance was different. It was different for me. It didn't follow the typical trend that romances do. I don't know how to describe it, but the build-up and stuff was different for them, I think, than any books I've read recently. So I enjoyed that, but I really did enjoy the crime aspect of it because it makes it more of a story to me. Although every time there's a crime like something like this in a romance novel, it's just even more unrealistic. But, that's what romance novels straddle that line of realistic and unrealistic. Anyway, so that's that. Next, I'm going to read Jade City by Fonda Lee, which is the first book in the Greenbone saga. So I'm not sure exactly what this is about, but it's saying something like, Jade is the lifeblood of the island of Kekon. It has been mined, traded, stolen, and killed for, and for centuries honorable Greenbone warriors like the Call family have used it to enhance their magical abilities and defend the island from foreign invasion. Now the war is over, and a new generation of Calls vies for control of Kekon's bustling capital city. They care about nothing but protecting their own, cornering the jade market, and defending the districts under their protection. Ancient tradition has little place in this rapidly changing nation. When a powerful new drug emerges that lets anyone, even foreigners, wield jade, the simmering tension between the Calls and the rival At family, I'm probably saying all these names wrong, so bear with me, erupts into open violence. The outcome of this clan war will determine the fate of all Greenbones and of Kekon itself. So it looks like there's going to be almost like a rivalry between two clans, groups of people in the city over a drug. So it's almost kind of like, I want to say it's like Mafia but make it fantasy, but I guess we'll see when I start reading it how it actually plays out. I've heard good things about this trilogy, so I'm hoping I enjoy it as much as other people have. But I will update tomorrow morning after I've read a little bit and have a better idea of what's going on. Okay, so quick update. I got about 80 pages into Jade City yesterday and today, like last night and then this morning, and I think I'm gonna soft DNF this book for now. I'm just straight up not in the mood to read a fantasy that has this much world building and this much complexity to it, and I'm not enjoying it, and I just felt like my mind wandering. And I think I could enjoy this book, which is why I don't want to force myself to read it when I'm not in the mood for it. I'll try maybe at a different time, maybe like towards the fall. Right now I'm in such a romance mood that unless it's a romance book or has a lot of romance in a fantasy, I'm probably not going to want to read it. I'm just going to be honest with myself right now about that. So yeah, I'm going to soft DNF that. And right now I'm just going to move on to Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. And this is about two addicts, Lily, who I believe is addicted to sex, and then Lauren Lowe, I think he goes by, is addicted to alcohol. And I believe they're roommates. So this is kind of them, I think, leaning on each other to get over their addictions, and it turns into a romance. That's pretty much all I know about it. It is called the Addicted series. It is for fans of Gossip Girl, Friends, and Euphoria. I'm wearing a Friends shirt. I love Gossip Girl, and I have watched most of Euphoria. That shows a bit much for me, so hopefully it leans a little less towards that, but we'll see. So I'm gonna just move straight on to that. And then I may add a fourth book back into the end of this. I have a lot of books on my Kindle Unlimited library that I could add on. We'll just see how I feel when I'm done with this one. It'll probably be another romance though, just because that's the mood I'm in right now and that's what I want to read. So that's what I'm going to read. All right. So I will start this book and then get back with you all later on my thoughts. So I'm about 30% of the way through Addicted to You. And it's really just been them talking about their addictions and you understanding like when they started and their family dynamics and the actual depth of these addictions and how bad they've gotten. Like they've both pretty much hit rock bottom at some point during the first 115 pages that I've read. I don't know. I'm assuming soon we're going to start getting to the point where they take their fake relationship, which is what they're using to hide their addictions from their family, and they both have feelings for each other. It's pretty obvious that are more than just fake feelings. So I think that at some point soon we're going to probably start getting into the point where they admit those feelings or they at least dive deeper into them, even though they may still act like they're faking. I'm not sure. But it's just really sad and like jarring to see how badly addicted they are to their individual problems, and that they're almost like enabling each other too. So it's not like the healthiest relationship. Yes, they're best friends, and yes, they're helping the other get through things, but they're also enabling the other to continue with their addiction. So it's not an ideal relationship. They're leaning on each other, but they're also probably making the addictions worse. So that's where I am. I'm going to keep reading. I'll probably finish this today because it's not going to take me but a few hours to read it. And then I think I'm going to read Reckless from the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver as the fourth and final book for this video, since I am not going to be reading Jade City in this, since I soft DNF'd it. Just not in the mood. So after I finish Addicted to You, I think that's the book I'm going to go into, and then that'll end the vlog. But we'll see. So I'm going to continue reading, and I will update when something different has happened. All right, so last check-in before I finish. I've got like 120 pages left, and we've met more characters, and I was pretty sure that 2 of the male characters we met are love interests for Lily's other sisters, and I was right, I did look it up, but I didn't realize that like Lily and Lo get multiple books. I thought like each book was going to be different siblings, and there are different books. I think it's like an 8-book series, and I think at least 4 of them maybe center around Lily and Lo, and then the other ones are about Daisy and Rose and their stories. But that explains a lot, because obviously the issues that they're having are not going to be resolved in this final 100-some pages. But it's like hard to read. It's hard to see somebody going through that. Addiction is a disease, obviously, and I know everybody, I think everybody probably knows somebody that's addicted, but just doesn't maybe know that they are, or you do, and it's just hard to see what they go through. I don't know. It's different. I think her addiction's a little different, because like she even says it's not something you can explain to people, because it's not like a common addiction, or at least not one that people talk about. It's not like a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction or gambling addiction, something like that. It's a sex addiction, and that's not something that you probably want to be telling people about. I don't know. But anyway, I think it's going to just be a lot of ups and downs for a lot of books, and this is going to be a series that I have to read when I'm in the right mind. It's hard to say you enjoy a book that deals with topics like this, but I think it's being done well, and I think it's being done in a way that doesn't try to hide what's actually going on. So I appreciate that. I guess I can say I have an appreciation for the book, but we'll see how the rest of them go. I don't think I'm going to get a happy ending at the end of this book, obviously, because there are many more that we have to get through, but I'm hoping some questions are answered and some things are fixed, but I don't know. So we'll see. Definitely was a deeper, darker book than I thought it would be, but I'm not put off enough that I don't want to finish the series, or at least continue the series and see where it goes. So that's where I am. I will check back in when I'm done, and we'll start the final book. So I just finished Addicted to You, and it was like it was a very tough ending. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a happy ending, obviously, but it ended kind of how I thought it would. So we'll see what happens when I find the time to continue the series. I do plan on continuing it, so we'll see how their story continues. I believe the next book is them as well. It's focused on them as well, but I don't know when the other 2 sisters get. The one sister already is kind of involved with the person that I think her book's going to be about, and the other one I don't know that has even met him yet. So we'll see how that develops as well in the next few books. Now I'm going to read Reckless, which is the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series. So this book focuses on Theo Silva, who was Rhett's bull riding apprentice in the first book, and he was kind of in some of the other books as well, a little bit splashed. He was in the last one, I think I remember a lot, because he met Winter in the last one, and that is Summer's sister. So I think this is going to be age gap. I'm pretty sure there's a surprise pregnancy trope in here. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure there's a surprise pregnancy in this one. And I know it's age gap because she's older than he is. But yeah, so it's Winter, who's Summer's sister. So it's most closely tied, I think, back to Flawless, which is the first book, because it's Rhett's apprentice and Summer's sister. So we'll see how this one goes. I'm not a huge fan of the surprise pregnancy trope, so we'll see how it's done in this one. Elsie Silver has hit on tropes that I'm not usually a huge fan. We'll see if she gets me with this one too. So once I read a little of that, I will come back and we'll talk more. I am just straight up devouring this book. I'm like 40% of the way through. And it is not the worst like surprise pregnancy trope, because it kind of got it out of the way early. Winter is like, I don't know, frustrating me. And I just love Theo Silva. Like, he's just perfect. And I think that's why I'm liking it, even though it's a trope I don't like. But I just know that winter's gonna frustrate me probably till the end. That's where I am. I'm now gonna go to bed, and then I'll continue this book tomorrow. So today's a new day. I've got about 130 pages, I think, left of Reckless, and I'm still really enjoying it. It is surprising me how much I like this couple and I like this story, seeing as I don't like surprise pregnancy, but the way it was written, again, was well. Elsie Silver just seems to be able to make any trope work for me, and I'm still loving Theo. Winter is still making me mad, and their kid is just adorable. So I'm also liking that we're getting a little bit more of Beau, considering what happened to him in the last book. We're seeing more of him than we did then, and how he coped with that, which is going to set up for the final book, which is, I think, Hopeless. So I already know who the love interest is in that, and we don't see much of them in any of the books. At least we haven't yet. Maybe we'll see a bit of her in the last 100 or so pages of this one. But I am excited that we get to see a little bit more of Beau, a little bit more of Beau. It has really just been about Theo and Winter mainly, and then Winter and Summer's relationship. So yeah, I have to finish that one up, and then this vlog will be done. Okay, so time to wrap things up, because I do feel like I've been filming this vlog for a month. It's not been that long, I'm just being dramatic, but it feels like the vlog that will never end. All right, so this was all Kindle Unlimited reads. So if you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you should have access to every single one of these books. I started off the vlog with a book off of my TBR for the month, which was Zodiac Academy, The Awakening. Really enjoyed this, a lot more than I thought I would. Felt kind of weird about enjoying it because of what it was and what the content was, but it was like a soap opera. I couldn't stop. So I'm excited to continue that series to see if that pace keeps up. I did go look at the ratings for the rest of the 11 books that are still left in the series, and it seems that this is the lowest rated. So if I enjoyed this one, I'm hoping that means I will enjoy the rest of them, but we will see. I rated this a 4, and I only gave it a 1.5 on the spice scale just because while a lot of things were implied, actual spice didn't really happen. There was a lot of like over-sexualization of things in these girls, but like actual what I would consider spice wasn't really that prominent, if that makes sense. Then I read Indigo Ridge, which is the first book in the Eden series, and I really enjoyed this as well, more than I thought I would. It was just a standard like 3.75 for me. It's a romance, so it did get higher than a 3, which is good for a romance for me. I enjoyed the crime aspect of it. Not my favorite couple, but I really enjoyed the family dynamics in this, and I think I'm going to enjoy reading about the rest of the family. So 3.75 for that, 2 on the spice scale. Then I read Addicted to You by Kristen Becker-Ritchie, and this is the first book in the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, whatever that is. And this is also a very messy book, but being about addiction, yes, it's going to be messy. I gave this a 3.75 as well. Spice was about a 3.5, just because Lily is addicted to sex, so there is a lot of sex. There's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of spice. Lo is addicted to alcohol, so overall it's just very dark topics. It's very difficult topics to deal with, but I enjoyed their dynamic and how they thought they were trying to help each other, but essentially they were just enabling each other. So the way their relationship grew throughout and the way that they grew with their family and friends, I really enjoyed that part of it. Addiction is very difficult to deal with, and I think that this book, in my opinion, did a decently good job at presenting it and talking about it and the difficulties with it. That was the rating on that. And then I finished up with Reckless by Elsie Silver, which is the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series. I enjoyed this again a lot more than I thought I would. Theo Silva, that man. I do not typically like the main trope of this book, which is surprise pregnancy. It's not a shock. That is on the synopsis. So it is a technical age gap, although the age gap is like 2 years. It's really not a big deal. And then surprise pregnancy, this book just, the pacing was great. The dynamics were great. While I was like angry at the characters, I also really wanted them to like figure things out. Winter really kind of made me angry for most of this book, but I also understand where she was coming from. But at the same time, you're seeing it from his perspective too, so you're like, open your eyes, figure it out. He's not messing with you. So that was difficult, but this was also a 3.75 for me. Spice around 2.5. A lot of Elsie Silver's books are on the spicier side. Not too crazy, but the content is there. I like how she did their like initial encounter that led to the surprise pregnancy. I think that the way that it was done, if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. I think that the way she did that was unique, and I liked it, and I enjoyed the way it played out throughout the story. So that was a good one as well. Better than I was anticipating considering the trope. So I did try to read Jade City by Fonda Lee as well. That was what I tried to read before Addicted to You. And I got about 80 pages in and I was just not into it. And I don't think it was the story. I think it's just where I am right now. I was really in a romance mood. I really wanted like quick summary feeling reads, and it was just not doing it for me. So I soft DNF'd it. I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna go back to it. It's just not where I am right now. That was a book I talked about at the beginning that I did not end up reading. So that's that. So this is the end of this vlog then. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope if you have Kindle Unlimited, maybe you now know that there's books on there that you didn't know were on there. Let me know if I'm missing any. I feel like I find new ones all the time. I feel like I buy books and then I find out they're on Kindle Unlimited, but that's fine. So let me know, and let me know what series that I started, because I started 3 series. I was supposed to start 4. I started 3 series in this vlog. Let me know which series you're most excited for me to continue. And I thank you for watching this video and hope to see you in the next one.